Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Welcome. This is the first day of 2020, the first Satsang. If you need Russian translation, you can come and sit over here. Or you can just keep quiet. Everything that is here, in this moment, in every moment, is only consciousness. Of course, consciousness has no attributes of its own. So we can't point to it and say, that is consciousness. Like we can say, this is a bench, this is a floor, this is a sound. The way we as individual bodies and minds experience consciousness is called the light of awareness. And I'm just going to suppose that most everyone who's here in this room has had some experience of what it's like to sit very quietly and just let everything go, no clinging to anything. And if you haven't had that experience, then this is a good time to start. Just allowing everything to be as it is without any interference on the part of the mind or the imagination, which really is more imagination than mind. Mind really doesn't exist except for the thoughts that we perceive and say, I must have a mind because this thought is obvious to me. So this means I have a mind. The mind is nothing. It simply is the recognition of the thoughts that are present. But consciousness itself, when we're not clinging to thoughts, ideas, concepts, experiences, world, body, sensations, so on, is seen when we look inside, and it appears to all of us as a light. Now, of course, this also is not true, because in order for us to even be able to say, this is the light of consciousness, there is this very subtle recognition of its opposite. So if there's light, we can only know this by darkness. But we use these words as we're talking about things because when we just see the light of consciousness, mind wants to know, it wants to understand. You may have experienced this. Whatever the experience is, mind wants to know. If it doesn't know, it just simply makes up a story based on past experience. oh, one time I saw this, so this must be similar to that, so okay, I'll call this that. Like that. Mind does this, doesn't it? All the time. The difficulty with this is it keeps us living in the past. Mind immediately possesses some experience or has some experience, and attention goes to this experience, and right away something is identified based on past experience. So now we're not here now. We're actually living in the past somehow. Or we're dismissing what is here now because we've already labeled it according to some previous experience. But if I say to you, you are already free of all of this business. You can just be here, now. The implication for you is that you have to be willing to let go of the past. Whatever your experience has been, it might have been blissful, it might have been traumatic, but whatever it is, and this is not to minimize any experience you've ever had, it's just to say, do yourself the favor of not living out of the past. Likewise, some of us have a personality, this I can relate to in my own experience. Some of us has a personality that likes to just look to the future all the time. So we're never actually right here. We're only looking around to see what is here that will benefit us in the future. Or we're using the capacity, the tendency in the mind to acquire thoughts and experiences, to attempt to project some imagined future in which things will be better. We will be more awake. We will be enlightened. But these are all just tendencies in mind. So we're not saying that they aren't recognizable in this moment or in any given moment. We're simply saying, in this moment, nothing is particularly useful. But this recognition, I am aware. Here and now. And this recognition knows that there is no value in what came before in terms of identifying what is here now. And there is no benefit to identifying, using concepts, words, and so on, what is here now in terms of insulating us against or creating for us an imagined future. This is the meaning of being here now. And it's in this practice or this recognition of our ability to remain here now that we come to understand who we are beyond past, present, and future. And so for us, the simple recognition, I am aware, just this in this moment, and resting as that, brings us fully into this moment. And this occurs using what I call the light of awareness. This is the root which is available with the recognition that all is consciousness. This light is available to us in order that we can see past, present, and future. And we also have the capacity not to cling to past, present, and future. This is all happening within the light of consciousness, within the light of awareness. And so our task is to remain here in some way. The reason is, this enables us to just completely keep letting go, past, present, and future, until we are fully aware that we are here. And this recognition comes, and I am that which is aware, and I am always here, in waking, dreaming, and sleeping, in body, mind, and world, beyond the body, mind, and world, beyond waking, dreaming, and sleeping. That which I am is always here. Vasishta said, pointed out, the sage Vasishta said, something to the effect, this is not a direct quote, I can act or not act. There is no difference. For I know I am here. This essential knowing, I am here, frees us from concern. Allows our actions or our inaction to flow naturally out of this moment. Sometimes we will sit quietly and do nothing. Other times some impulse will come that we must do something, and we'll do it. But in both cases, there's not an I doing it, there's not a me doing it, and there's no regard for what the outcome might be. There is simply this recognition that in all my activities, or in my inactivity, you can say, I am free. And then comes the recognition, I am not even free. In order to be free, I had to be bound. This I don't understand anymore. This is a memory. Then it can only be said, awareness is here. As all of this, as something at one moment, as nothing in the next moment. Just awareness. Everything unfolding through the grace of the Divine Being, through being, consciousness, bliss, through your own nature. You look around and you see nothing but yourself. And who does not love themselves? If there is a part of you that just responded when I said, who does not love themselves? And I know for some of you this came up, and said, yeah, maybe, but there's this piece which is not so lovable. But understand, this is the business of the mind. This is not truth. But truth is that in which even this conversation goes on and says, yeah, but this is not so lovable about me. Even this is rising in the nature of truth. But if you recognize that this is the conversation of conditioning in the mind, something that is coming out of the past, and you return to your commitment to letting go, to no past, no future, no present, then you recognize that even this must go. So you can ask yourself in this moment, if that was true for you, that something came up at that time. You can ask yourself, is there something, some way in which I identify which I'm unwilling to let go of? Is it your gender, your age, your financial place, your relationship status, your job? Is there some way in which you identify? And you say, yes, I can let go of everything but not that. Everything else can go, no problem. But this I'm going to keep. And that is the thing that must go. Why? Because if not, it will anchor you here in the belief that you are body-mind, that you are some way related to what is manifesting here now. It won't let you see that you have nothing to do with anything which is past, present, or future, that you simply are as awareness itself. So if something like that is present for you, let go of that as well. So then you can see that this process of inquiry that Bhagavan spoke about, and many sages have spoken about, is really not about acquiring something, about changing something that you don't like within yourself. It's actually about shedding, letting go of what you are not. In order to come fully into knowing what you are. And this is why you'll hear me and others always speaking about the necessity for you, if you are struggling with something, to keep letting go. To keep coming back to your already present and innate freedom. Especially at the moments when you feel least free. Because you know there's this tendency in the mind, I know you have noticed, to build up some agitation around the false story of me. And if you keep saying, yeah, but I am not that, I'm free, you're trying to quell this fire, but what ends up happening is you're throwing more wood on the fire. Every time you say, but I am already free. Every time you meet self-doubt, with this understanding, I am already free, the fire goes a little higher, gets a little hotter in here. But only for a while. Eventually, you simply are here. And there isn't a need anymore to argue at all with what comes present in the mind. There's just no interest in arguing with it. So if something comes, oh yes, I love you, except about that. This comes to your mind. Now there's not even any interest, it just comes into the mind. And by not touching it, by not grabbing it, by not clinging to it, not even by pushing it away, just by leaving it there, not giving it attention. Some of you were here the other day, remember I said, food for your thoughts is the attention that you give them. So initially, it may be difficult for you as thoughts are rising for you not to let attention go to those thoughts. But over time, and this can happen quite quickly for some people, the attention has no interest in moving toward the thought. It simply sees the thought. Ah, yes, mind is thinking, I see that. There's this thought about who I am. But I'm not interested. So then you come right back into here now, awareness. And then you see that this thought, when it isn't given its food of attention, when you have no opinion about it, when you don't want to explore it, when you lose interest in finding the root of it, because this is a big occupation for a lot of us, right? Some thought is coming, some memory is coming, some previous experience is coming. We say, well, I must explore this, I have to find out what is the cause of this, why does it keep coming up, why did I keep having this experience, and so on. But eventually you just lose interest in all of that. And you say, ah yes, there's that thought again. I am not interested. I'm just here. On this beautiful day, I'm not interested in that. By doing this, some strength is coming over time. You're sinking more and more deeply into consciousness, into yourself as this awareness, as the light of awareness. You're sinking more and more deeply into this. And there's less and less interest in pursuing anything that the mind in the past has taken an interest in. This is a very natural and organic process. So if you're having a troublesome mind, rest, relax. In some way drop in and away from whatever trouble you seem to think is there. And see if it lasts very long. I think you'll find it won't. How is this going for you? We talked a lot about this the other day.
It's going. I try not to give food when some tension can.
Yeah. So he said, yeah, it's going good. I'm trying not to give food to these thoughts when they are there. This is what he said. So in the beginning, it does seem that there's something that you are doing, that you are making this effort, you are trying. But this should be a small effort. It should just be the effort to pull the attention back from whatever internal dialogue and conversation you're having, so that you can rest here now. So does this seem clear to you? It's okay, your presence is not. Language is always limiting. It rises out of the heart of vastness, however. It arises out of great space. And it's in this space that we are meeting. I'm still forgetting that we have this other microphone. So yes, if you want to say something, remind me that there's a microphone so everyone can hear what you're saying.
One, two. For the moment, I am experiencing strong tension and pain in my head, so it's not easy, or not too easy to not to give attention to it, and to the thoughts that it's better not to have this.
And the thought that it's better not to have the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always feel this way when we have a headache or tension in the body somewhere, yes, absolutely. This is a natural tendency. Can you not struggle with it though?
I can, but the pain is coming, rising.
Yes.
Like some kind of resistance on the physical level, I would say. It keeps pulling the attention to the throat. What is this pain? I cannot even hear what.
So, yes, this is natural. Anytime there is any kind of object in awareness itself which is very strong, it can be pain as you're speaking, can also be pleasure. Anytime the object is very strong, we cannot prevent the attention from going there.
Yeah.
Yes, we see it just, it jumps like this, right? It's like a monkey.
Yeah.
People do this. When the attention, when the pain gets strong enough, or the pleasure gets strong enough, the attention really locks in on it. Right? This is what you're describing.
Yes.
Yes, it really locks in on it. But the question is, not what the attention is doing, but can you not struggle with it? Because there are two aspects to pain and two aspects to pleasure and everything in between. The two aspects are, when something is very strong, attention naturally goes to it. And this facility is part of the body-mind complex. So it's quite natural that this happens. But the other part of it is that beyond the necessary, or sometimes we have to say maybe not necessary, but just obvious tendency of the body-mind to suffer at certain times, to have certain sensations, pleasant or unpleasant. This is just naturally happening as part of seeming to possess a body and a mind. The greatest part of the suffering associated with that, or the greatest part of suffering that comes from the experience of great pleasure, is the acceptance by the mind that this is the truth. That this, because this is here now, somehow it will either always be here now, or something has to be done about it. So it's said, can be said, that there is suffering, or there is pain. And then there is suffering over the pain, over the presence of pain. In the case of pleasure, can be said there is pleasure, and then the suffering begins when the clinging starts to the pleasure. We start to say, oh, this is so good, I want this forever. We begin to stay with that. But this is like anytime we close a fist, in the beginning we don't feel pain when we close a fist. But after an hour, there's a great deal of pain. So this is how it is with pleasure. We try to cling to it, to grasp at it, to hold it, to keep it, and pretty soon we are suffering over that activity. But in the case of this kind of pain, can there be, for you, an acknowledgement that this is pain? Not my pain. This is just pain. And without the clamping of the mind saying, this is bad, saying, I don't want this, saying, I must get rid of this. Are you able to just be here with it without that kind of conversation going on in the mind? Please take a breath. This breath, which stops when we feel pain, this is a very good indicator that we are grabbing. Maybe we are trying to get rid of it, but it's a very good indicator. You can notice almost universally that as soon as you begin to feel a headache like this or some sort of pain, the breath becomes very shallow, and at some point you may even notice at the height of the pain that the breath has stopped completely. And one of the ways to free yourself from that is not by thinking or pushing away, but simply by remembering to breathe, to give the body that sense of space, the space in which the pain is there. Is this possible for you?
In a sense, it's possible because I can experience myself also beyond this body-mind position, and it makes possible to just to.
Yes.
But I feel it's not in my capacity not to go there also, not to be involved. I can, for the moment, to look from detached position,
Yes.
but then attention is also going there, and looks like I go with attention,
Yes.
and I'm getting involved again in this body-mind situation and circumstances, and like I cannot, I cannot just to say, okay, it doesn't exist.
No, of course not. You cannot say it doesn't exist.
Yeah, because, and I cannot say it's
Yes.
not me,
You cannot say,
it's not me, it's not,
yeah, then this is where the difficulty is resting,
Yeah.
right?
The identification is coming.
Yes. Yes. But you're just sitting here, you said you have this pain, and you just said, I cannot say it is not me. Right?
Yeah.
What if it doesn't matter if it's me or not? In some way, what I'm trying to point to is there is still a value being given to me. The pain is absolutely the pain. We're not denying that. The struggle, the second part of this suffering over our suffering, comes because we say, I cannot stop identifying as me. Yes?
Yeah, I understand. But in order to say like this, I could say like this if I would really couldn't meet this me, if I couldn't find it. But still I can't find it very much, this me is very tangible.
So this attention that you are saying is going to this pain and is me. Can you investigate that belief or not? Is the pain too intense?
Can you say it again?
I don't know. I wasn't listening. Can you say it again?
Can you
Anyone?
investigate that belief?
Can you investigate that belief?
Your belief in
No, not necessarily the belief in pain. We're saying the pain is correct, yeah, but the belief that there is a me
Me.
who is experiencing this pain.
Okay. Yes. The belief that there is a me is based on the feeling that I am this body. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you.
Yes, yes.
As if we are two separate entities and there are many separate
Yes.
This belief.
Yes, so as long as this is your conceptual reality, then yes, then this is the support for me, the me which is suffering.
Yeah, but it's not like only on the conceptual level. It feels
I
like
understand that,
it's
yes.
real.
Yeah, it feels real, no doubt.
It would be easy to.
So there are really only two ways to go with this if you are going to stick on that position. And that is to say, either, yes, this is real, but it's okay. Right now, I am suffering. Or you can say, everything is God. Who is suffering? Me is suffering? Or God is suffering? What just happened?
Like I was trying to find me. Couldn't for the moment.
So you see, even with pain here, it can be impossible to find me. This was the point. Very good.
Thank you. Yes, and it's true when I observe that I really cannot find me moment to moment, it's, the pain is going away immediately.
It also is diminishing, yes. Yes, it may go away completely, it may not. You know, this is the nature of body-mind. The Buddha said, the nature of body-mind is birth, old age, sickness, and death. This is the nature of the body-mind. The implication is that this is a natural part of being present as a human being. But then he said, the vast majority of the suffering related to being born, sick, aging, and dying is occurring in the mind. So you just demonstrated this to yourself very clearly. That if you dissolve me, rather than always putting attention going out further and further into the pain, I have to get rid of it, I don't like it, I don't want this is terrible, and I must not be enlightened, blah, blah, blah. Right? Dissolve me. Then whatever is the natural arising in the body-mind will just be the natural arising in the body-mind. And yes, it won't always be pleasant. But if you have no interest in whether it's pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, right? Everything is always just dissolving. Awareness does not dissolve. So 1 minute there's pain in the head, another minute there's pain in the toe, another minute there's thought in the mind, another minute there's a sensation, hearing, tasting, touching, seeing, smelling. This is all just moving at its own way. Eyes are seeing. By the light of consciousness, you are that. Ears are hearing. By the light of consciousness, you are that. Be willing to let go quickly. Not as a thought, just by not picking things up, not grabbing at them, not holding on to them, not saying, this is who I am. Just remember, you are that which is aware. Under all circumstances, all apparent arisings. Some of you know something about the stories that I've told over the last couple of years about having the experience for almost 2 years before that of just lying in hospital beds and being unable to speak, being hooked up to machines, and realizing that all of this activity was going on in the body-mind, including pain and discomfort, and also the awareness of the great caring and love of the people that were caring for this body. And through this came the recognition that something was not moving. Everything was coming and going. All of these experiences were coming and going. Mostly very unpleasant for a very long time. But nonetheless, even though there was a great deal of unpleasantness, there was peaks and valleys to it. But something was not moving. So this is what I'm always sharing with you, is that this something is not moving. And that when you are facing these difficulties, whether it's physical pain, or emotional pain, sadness, loss in your life, the remedy is always, what is aware of this? Not what is this, but what is aware of this. This is always the remedy. The reason is, at the end, when this question is being asked persistently and consistently in the face of whatever experience you're having, there comes a moment where this stillness, this not moving, understanding of who you are can flower. And you won't do it. I didn't do it. It won't be by you. It will just happen through the grace of being. that you will come to see yourself as that which is unmoving. And this will be such a direct experience for you, such a strong perception, that from then on nothing else will move. Everything will seem to go on. You will dance, you will cry, you will have pain, you will not. You will sleep, you will be awake. You will talk, you won't. You will act, you will not. But what you will know is that nothing is happening. Nothing is moving. And you are that. And then you will laugh. Then you can know nothing has ever happened, right? Is it true? Bhagavan used to say, stepping on this path is like riding on a train. If you don't know who you are, you will keep your luggage on your head. But if someone says to you, put it down, let the train carry it, then you know you're on your way. The train is consciousness itself, or God, or the Absolute, the Self, however you want to name it. And so this is what I'm always encouraging you to do, and this is what I'm encouraging you to do today. When I say don't cling to anything, I mean put your burden down. Really, put your burden down. No matter what it appears you are doing. No matter where you think your train is going, or whether you know, I don't know where my train is going, and I'm so scared. Just put your baggage down. Come to this place where there is no past, no future, not even a present. Just be here with me. Be here with yourself as you are. Now you are just breathing life, not being anyone, not going anywhere. then all of this also crumbles. So hard sometimes for us men to just smile, huh? We are so serious. Can you pass the mic? Just pass it along person to person.
I'd like to ask a question. Just in relate to what you said, not saying move, then there's and all the stillness and nothing hadn't happened. There's something never unmoving. The question is how to deal with a situation. For example, like when you said that, and I resonate. I had a glimpse of that, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
But it's just for a split second, because you kind of point me back to that experience and on that. But just probably after 1 second, the mind quickly covers up the
Correct.
mindset. The
Yes.
mindset, I know that, I've been there. So the mind kind of back in the mind.
Yes.
So how do you deal with that situation, to somehow not so quickly let the mind cover it up?
Yes. You do this by recognizing that this is a character of mind. This is not me. I am that which was before. Okay? The reason we do this is because if we don't, the attention says, oh, I was there before and now I'm not, and it begins right in that moment to identify, and the more we let it rest there, or with the more attention we give it, it strengthens the idea that I am this feeling now that I am separate from that. So it begins to reinforce that. This is just the character of mind. It loves to do this. Some say this is the character of ego, the individual sense of me-ness, and that it wants to protect itself, defend itself, and it does not want to be told, I'm not listening to you anymore. So, this is where we apply the inquiry directly, not to stop the mind from doing this, but simply to notice, oh, this is mind. Thinking is happening. But who is thinking? Before, there was no thinking. There was just this recognition, I am here, I am aware. Now there is this thought. Well, if you continue with that, keep feeding any form of that thought, it will continue to take you out into that diversification of the mind. So we have to apply, right at that place, the inquiry. What is aware? Who am I? Who is thinking? I am thinking. Who am I? This is Bhagavan's way. Right at that moment. Now, clearly, sometimes, just out of habit, conditioning, we don't actually realize that we moved from that moment of awareness, of knowingness, of being here, into some mental activity. We don't notice that until we're actually quite far into it, right? And this is really what you're describing. What happens when I get way out into this? Still the answer is the same. We want to take the attention, we want to know that because we are sadhaks, because we are practicing this way, because we are interested in knowing who we are, we immediately, as soon as we realize, we don't beat the mind up. We don't say, oh, I don't like you anymore. You are just in my way. You are a great difficulty to me. We don't start beating the puppy. We just say, oh, yes, that was happening. Mind is here. I see mind is here. But now, because I see mind is here, this means I am aware of mind. I am the awareness before. So we don't go in the direction of believing mind. We go and saying, oh, yes, I see. I am mind. Sometimes I'm thinking I'm mind. Okay, I am not. And we're coming back. So whenever it's possible for us, as soon as we recognize we have gone into some story, into some diversity in the mind, and of course, if we're working at work and we're trying to solve a problem, we have to solve the problem using the diversity of mind. So this is not the best time. Yeah? But still, we can recognize, even though I'm here using the mind to solve this problem at work, I am not this process. I am the one who is aware that this process is going on. That I am in fact using this mind to solve this problem. Okay? And we just understand always that whatever is going on in body, mind, or world, we are not that, we are that which is aware of it. And we just keep pulling attention very quickly as we're able to, as quickly as we're able to, back to this recognition. And what happens over some time is that the more often we do this, the more the mind becomes comfortable allowing us to just rest as awareness itself without the need to name everything, decide everything, quantify everything, understand everything. This is all activity of mind. But beingness, consciousness, does not need to do this. If I say to you, are you here? What do you say? You say, I'm here. Right? So you don't need to go any further than this. So this is why we keep coming back to this recognition. I am here. Makes no difference whether the activity is going on or there isn't any activity. Most simple, most direct path is best. And of course, you see that this is something that can go on in the midst of all of your activities. So, This was always very important to Bhagavan to point this out to everyone. You know, that if you were, he would say to people, I remember reading it several places, if you were meant to be sitting quietly in a cave on the mountain, you would already be there. Instead you are here. So, this is your field of endeavor. This is your cave in some way, even with all of this going on. So he never encouraged people to feel that they had to drop everything in their life, you know, relationships, work, and so on. But he would always say to people, understand that, you know, at some point in your sadhana, you may feel from time to time the need to just go in your room and close the door and stay there for a day or two, and just to do this inquiry in a concentrated way, with every single thought, every single sensation, everything that comes up, you're just asking this question, who am I, or what is aware of this, and or constantly knowing without asking any question, I am here, I am aware, just resting as that, with no activity in the mind. This is all the forms of inquiry that we can use in different places and at different times. Alright. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvavarkamiva Vandinam Mrityor Mukshiyamamritama Swaha Bhuva Bhu Om Sat Jum Ham Om. Namaste. Namaskar.